It's alive. You can see, we at least have a meter light. We're back with the Tram D62. Like I said, I just want to do some quickies, see if this thing can be brought back to life, and it is coming back to life. This is the one with the 20 amp fuse that was blown and then wrapped in aluminum foil. I just kind of real quickly light on here. As you can see, I tacked in a jumper wire where that burned trace was. If I do get this up and running fairly easily, I'll go ahead and do a proper circuit trace repair on that. So that's just temporary. And I just scavenged a piece of wire because that's going to be coming out anyhow. That was off that channel mod somebody had done. But one of the first things I did on this was clean the circuit board. There's so much flux residue. Some radios, their manufacturers are pretty good at removing flux, other times not so much. Well, this was one of the not so much radios, and then on top of that, other people working on it over the years, especially with the channel modification. I couldn't even see some of the traces to see if some of them were shorted out, so I clean them. I know, Mark, I know you're going to see this, and you just talked about cleaning up and, using a horsehair brush and being gentle, and most of the time I'm not kind of, I guess, 50-50. I've got two weapons of choice when it comes to cleaning off flux. It's always alcohol, for starters. Sometimes I'm gentle, sometimes I'm brutal. In cases of radios like this, they get the brutal cleaning because, for starters, they're built like a tank. There's not really much I can hurt with my what I'm going to describe as my brutal method. But, I use, I know a lot of people use those flux brushes. I use artist brushes. And the reason I like using these artist brushes, a lot of times you can get these in all different sizes. Like I've got, here was one that was, the bristles were cut down so it's very, very stiff. You can get them in even wider than this. And you buy these cheap brushes at, art supply stores. They don't really cost that much. It doesn't matter if they're cheap. I'm not doing fine artwork. I'm one of those people. I'm artistically challenged. I can't even draw a stick person. So it doesn't matter if they're cheap or not. I just need something the bristles aren't going to fall out of. So these cheap artist brushes work fine. But radios like this, especially that have that flux that just does not want to come off, and it's been baked on for 35 plus years, my weapon of choice there is a stiff bristle brush, nylon brush. And I don't have to worry about safe ESD practices, shorting out something, having a static charge, and there's nothing in this thing a static charge is going to hurt. There's no microprocessors. It's got a PLL chip, but, they're fairly durable radios. I use these, and this is a very stiff brick. You can hear that, how stiff those bristles are. But, I get in there, and I literally will, I scrub the snot out of it. I don't give no mercy, with my scrubbing, because it takes some scrubbing to get the flux off of these things. And what I'll do is I'll usually stand the radio up on its side, on top of a folded up microfiber towel. I've got some of these, that's all they're used for. They get washed and reused, but I've got some, that's the only thing they're used for, is soaking up the alcohol. And I literally saturate the whole underside of the board. I'll have the radio standing up on the microfiber towel, spray it down with the isopropyl, and then scrub the snot out of it. You'll just see the brown goop just pours off of it as you dissolve all that flux resin. So that was the first thing I did with this, so I could actually see what I was dealing with. And then after I get done cleaning it with the isopropyl alcohol, and it has had time to dry, which that's just a quick spray with the air nozzle takes care of that, I then follow up with actually, I don't know if it'll show up in the light or not because it's white, but this actually has, there you go, you can see it, has a medical logo on it, and I got a bunch of these when I was in the Army, 7 Special Forces group. I got, of course, we had our own medics, and the med supply had gotten a bunch of these. These are, for surgeons to clean their fingernails before surgery, but they're nice little scrub brushes. I actually use this after I get done cleaning the underside of the board, because this one has the bristles are a lot finer and softer, because like I say, it's meant for cleaning fingernails with those, dainty surgeon's hands. So, but that's great then because you always end up with a little bit of residue on the circuit board. I'll then follow up just a light scrubbing with this thing, and it actually polishes them back, and you'll see the circuit boards, the undersides, when I'm done with them. That's why they're always so nice and shiny, because I go back over them and basically give them a buff job with this brush. But anyhow, after I did that, so I installed the jumper wire. I cleaned up cleaned all the goop off the bottom of the board, because there were a couple places I wasn't sure. There might have been just blobs of solder that were shorted out. Could have been the problem with this radio. So all that's been cleaned off. It's hooked up to an external speaker, because like I say, this radio came with no cover and no speaker. So it's hooked up to an external speaker. But I turned it on, and it now has a proper 3-amp fuse in the fuse holder. And of course I got it running up to the little distribution box I have up here, and then that's protected by, of course, another, and I have fuses in this. So I can select either 5-amp, or over here, and if I use these jacks, that's 30 amps. They have, so second level of protection of fuses there. But, so powered up fine, seems to be, but we have no channel display. And if we turn on a signal generator, now I do know that it's actually on channel 18 right now, so I don't need to turn it, but I have 100 microvolts going into it on channel 18. And you can hear there's no audio, and there is also no deflection of the signal meter. So the receiver would appear to be dead, along with the channel display. And some people are probably thinking that the PLL circuit's probably dead. No, actually the PLL circuit seems to be working just fine, because microphone connected in AM, key the microphone, haha, we have needle deflection. We are at a power meter. We have power. We're getting somewhere. So if I key the mic and talk into it, though, audio. Audio, audio, audio. Absolutely no modulation. So let's try on upper sideband. Audio, audio. And I've got another radio down here turned on so you can hear it. Audio, audio, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it does transmit and has good power. Audio, 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 audio. So it's doing like 15 watts of output on sideband. So the radio is not completely dead. So I think this is definitely worth fixing up. We've brought it back to life enough with basically just a cleanup and a fuse. I really didn't fix anything other than that burned up trace. And honestly, that goes to, that would be the gain. No, that would be the volume. That was, the traces went to, let me just see here real quick. Comes up to the, rear pad here on this one. So that's the rear control. And the rear control is going to be the center shaft. So that was, yeah, that's the volume. Yeah, so the volume, and it burned out the trace on the volume control. So might have a problem in the audio circuit. No, because we do have no AM modulation, no sound out of a speaker. But like I say, the display's dead too. So basically now it's just a matter, now that we know we can get the radio on, it's working without blowing a fuse. Now it's just a simple matter of going in, taking some voltage measurements at a couple places, see if we have power going, there should be power coming up to the display. Is there anything here where we're losing voltages at? But it is, it's not looking too bad. Like I say, it's seems to be rather quickly coming back to life. So I think a couple more simple fixes on this thing. Of course, if I do get it completely up and running, I'll do the full workup on it. Replace all the the aluminum electrolytic capacitors, the couple, the old blue drops, tantalum capacitors, little time bombs that are waiting to happen, and a transceiver alignment on it. But so far, I'm thinking this is no longer a parts radio. This is now going to be this will get restored to a fully functional working radio. So there's just an update.